Anyone who's heard of the Hand of Glory, raise your hand. Perhaps you're familiar with these ghastly magic items. The severed hands of fiendish men that are pickled and dried and then turned into talismans. That might explain why my blind dates always walk out. Okay. The Hand of Glory has a long history in folklore, myth, and fact, and it is said to provide far more sinister powers than just a few extra digits. The folkloric Hand of Glory dates back to at least the 1600s, and it is mentioned in grimoires like the Petit Albert of 1722, and it is a composite of magic spells, still sold today. Methods of creating the hand vary, as do its purported magical properties, but virtually all of them involve the severed hand of a hanged criminal or sometimes the severed hand of a dead child. After the required ingredients were acquired, it seems there were more methods or recipes to create them. More recipes than casserole dishes at a southern picnic. The Petit Albert, likely inspired by the writings of Saint Albertus Magnus, offers the following recipe for creating a Hand of Glory. The instructions are as follows. You take the right or the left hand of a felon who is hanging from a gibbet beside the highway. You then wrap it in part of a funeral pall, and so wrapped squeeze it well. Then put it into an earthenware vessel with zymat, niter, salt, and long peppers. The whole lot well powdered. Leave it in this vessel for a fortnight, and then take it out and expose it to full sunlight during the dog days until it becomes quite dry. If the sun is not strong enough, put it in an oven with some fern and vervain. Next, make a kind of candle from the fat of a gibbeted felon, virgin wax, sesame, and a little bit of pony, and use your new Hand of Glory as a candlestick to hold this candle when lighted. Present-day practitioners may find it difficult to reproduce this recipe at home today. Not only is it rare to spot a gibbeted felon ripe for dissecting, you'll soon discover that your local grocery store does not sell zymat or pony. In fact, it's relatively unclear as to exactly what that meant, unless it was perhaps horse manure. In which case, please use your own discretion if you wish to substitute for this recipe. For listeners who are craft savvy, you may even try to make your own Hand of Glory out of paper mache, as in this example. But if you are fortunate enough to cook up a real Hand of Glory, they can be pretty well handy, especially if you're a thief. The most common account of the Hand of Glory's powers suggests that a burning candle gripped in its dead fingers, made from the fat of the hanged man himself, immobilizes anyone in a house or building, or anyone but the wielder who possesses it. Other versions say that the hair of the felon would be used as the candle wick and would give light only to the holder. Others claim that the candle unlocks doors or burns brighter when in the presence of treasure. Luckily, there are ways to protect from the effects of a Hand of Glory. According to the Petit Albert, you can render a Hand of Glory ineffective by by rubbing the threshold of all your doors and windows with the gall of black cat, the fat of a white hen, and the blood of a screech owl. Perhaps one of the last genuine articles of a hand of glory in existence was found walled up in a cottage in Castleton in 1935. It is currently on display at the Whitby Museum. One thing that makes this grotesque artifact even more macabre is the manuscript that stands next to it from 1823. It adds its own gruesome detail on the preparation of this very object. It says, "It must be cut from the body of a criminal on the gibbet, pickled in salt and the urine of man, woman, dog, horse, and mare, smoked then with herbs and hay for a month, hung out on an oak tree for 3 nights running, laid out at a crossroads, then hung on a church door for 1 night, while the Maker keeps watch on the porch. And if it be that no fear hath driven you forth from the porch, then the hand be truly won, and it shall be yours." Here is a gallows-style gibbet near Bedford, England. The origins make it very clear that a hand of glory was an artifact meant to aid thieves in their work during the night. If the thieves used the hand of glory as candlestick to hold the lit candle made from the hung man's fat, or in some versions lit the fingertips of the hand itself, then they could open the locked doors and render all those within the house unconscious or paralyzed until they had completed their task. The particular example found in the cottage at Castleton may have been hidden either before or after a robbery. One of the specific legends relates directly to the Spital Inn on Stainmore in 1797. The story of the Spital Inn begins with an old woman asking the innkeeper to sleep on a chair downstairs at the inn, with the pretext that she had to leave early the next morning. The innkeeper agreed and then retired upstairs with his family to sleep. The only person that remained downstairs was a young maid. This young woman noticed something odd about the old woman, and upon discreet observation, noted men's trousers were exposed beneath the hem of the husky woman's dress. The maid told herself that this was not a person to be trusted, and vowed to remain awake that night to watch over the suspicious character. The man removed his dress and bonnet when he believed the young girl was asleep, and then he approached her with the lit hand of glory. He waved it in front of her face and said, "Let those who are asleep be asleep, and those who are awake be awake." With that, the thief placed the hand on a table and turned away from the maid. Then he opened the door to let his partner in. At that moment, the girl jumped up and shoved the man outside, closing and barring the door behind him. She hurried upstairs and tried to wake the family. Unfortunately, the hand of glory had done its work, and they were all under a deep sleep. Soon, the maid heard the men trying to break down the door. So she returned downstairs and tried to blow out the lit hand of glory. Finding that she could not, She took some nearby skimmed milk, one of the two options for extinguishing the hand of glory, the other being blood, and threw it over the hand. As the flames were smothered, the family awoke and heard her cries below.
Hey, get back here!
They caught the thieves after a short pursuit. Stop, you!
Hey!
The men promised they would leave the family in peace if the hand of glory was returned. However, the thieves were denied their request and scarcely escaped with their lives when the innkeeper took his gun out and shot at them. The concept of the Hand of Glory has inspired many short stories and poems in the 19th century. It's even made its way into modern culture via references in movies, songs, and numerous video games. The hand specifically appears in the Ingoldsby Legends book from 1840. The first lines are,
Now open, lock, to the dead man's knock. Fly, bolt, and band, joint, muscle, or nerve, at the spell of the dead man's hand. Sleep all who sleep, wake all who wake, but be as the dead for the dead man's sake.
Clearly, the Hand of Glory's grip on our collective imagination is as strong today as it ever was, and shows no signs of letting go.